Exposed, heartwarming journey of discovering my cheating wife's incredible transformation after. Tom stood in the dim light of their cramped living room, feeling utterly defeated. Just a few months ago, he was the proud provider for his family, working long hours at the factory on the outskirts of Maplewood. Now, with the job gone, so was his self-worth. He tried to mask his woes, putting on a brave face for his wife, Sara, and their 2 kids. Each forced smile felt like a mask slipping. The distance between him and Sara was palpable, as she obsessed over her online persona, curating pictures of their family that felt more like an edited movie than their messy, beautiful reality. One fateful night, while searching for a recipe on their shared computer, Tom stumbled upon messages. His heart sank as he read those words, each one like a jagged knife cutting through his chest. Betrayal. That single word echoed louder than any happiness they shared. His breath hitched, tears blurring his vision, and he felt his world collapsing. All he could think about was the love they vowed to cherish, now crumbling under the weight of infidelity. He was lost. Would this be the end of everything? But in that deep abyss of despair, a spark ignited. Instead of succumbing to devastation, Tom took a different path. He joined community support groups, where he sat shoulder to shoulder with others, sharing their own heartaches. The stories poured out tales of loss and resilience that lit a flicker of hope within him. He realized he wasn't alone in this fight. As he listened, he found his own strength, remembering the man he once was, the father and husband he longed to be. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As he wove new friendships, his heart crackled with life. Wise veterans from the neighborhood engaged him in deep conversations, their lessons about perseverance wrapping around him like a warm blanket. Meanwhile, Sara found herself grappling with her own demons. The facade she created slowly unraveled, exposing her own struggles, forcing her to face the chaos beneath her curated online life. As she sought help, she recognized how lost she had become, drowning in expectations rather than authentic love. Days turned into weeks, and Tom began to witness glimpses of change within Sara. As she took steps toward redemption, a question loomed over them like storm clouds: can love really be rebuilt from ashes? The air between them grew thick with unspoken words and untapped emotions. They stood on the precipice of a potential reconciliation, each fighting their own battles yet yearning for connection. Just as they were preparing to confront the truths that could either shatter them or bring them closer, a phone call interrupted the tenuous moment. Tom's heart raced. Would this be the moment that pulled them apart or stitched them back together? He stood at a crossroads, the ghosts of pain swirling around him, while a flicker of hope battled fiercely to break through. What would he choose? The phone call felt like a brick dropped into still water, sending ripples through the fragile peace they'd been trying to build. Tom hesitated, staring at the screen as if it had suddenly turned into a portal to another world. A name flashed before him, and his heart tightened. It was Jared, the man whose messages had cut through his heart like a knife. The journey to reclaiming their love had seemed so close, yet this call threatened to drag them back to the hell they'd fought so hard to escape. What should I do? Tom whispered, mostly to himself, but the question hung in the air between them. Sara's eyes widened in surprise, reflecting a mix of hope and dread as she stepped closer, desperate for connection in that moment of uncertainty. Answer it, she urged softly, her voice steady despite the chaos brewing inside her. Let us see what he wants. We can't rebuild if we're afraid of facing it all. Tom's heart slammed against his ribcage, feeling the weight of her words. With a deep breath, he hit the green button, bracing himself. Hello. Tom, Jared's voice dripped with a wary urgency. I need to talk to you. It's about Sara. You should know. The pit in Tom's stomach grew deeper, twisting with every second that passed. With Sara leaning in, her anxious breath against his neck, he felt the line between their past and future dissolve. "What about her?" he managed to ask, blood rushing in his ears. "I've changed. I swear. But I think she deserves to know the truth about what happened. The whole truth." The air crackled with tension. Tom's mind reeled. Could this really be a moment of honesty, a chink in the armor of betrayal? Or was it just another overture to sabotage what little they had left? "I'm listening," Tom replied, voice steadying as his heart raced. Sara grabbed his hand, squeezing tightly, the warmth grounding him in this moment of turmoil. Whatever came next could tether them closer, or tear them apart. "I never meant for it to go that far, but the way she disconnected from you, it pushed me to be there for her, Tom. I didn't want to hurt anyone, especially you. But I need you to know there is something she hasn't told you, a secret." Tom's stomach twisted at the implications. He glanced at Sara, her expression a mixture of confusion and fear. "What secret?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "It's about the time you lost your job." Sara was struggling, but it wasn't just that there was something else in the mix, something she was scared to share. Before Jared could continue, Tom interjected, "Why should I trust anything you say? You were the one who hurt us." "Because I don't want to hide from this anymore," Jared replied. "And neither should she." That last statement felt like a punch to the gut. Tom shared a glance with Sara, and something passed between them, a silent recognition that they had both been avoiding the reality of their pain. Would this unforeseen interruption push them to finally confront the truth that had haunted them both? Standing there, Tom realized the moment had arrived. The unraveling of hurt and betrayal led to a messy yet powerful road of honesty and healing. "Tell us," Tom said, summoning the strength buried deep within. "Let us face it together, no more hiding." As the tension in the room shifted, the weight of the past felt heavier than ever, yet somehow lighter too. With each revelation, Tom could sense the boundaries they built around their hearts beginning to dissolve, giving way to a rawness that promised growth. What lay ahead was uncertain, but the choice to confront their demons had been made. Little did Tom know that the confession awaiting them would shake the very foundation of their marriage, forcing them to reevaluate everything they thought they knew about love. And just as he contemplated that unsettling future, another call came, in this time from their youngest. The sound of innocent laughter contrasting sharply with the heaviness in the room. It was a reminder of what was at stake. Could they truly rebuild? Or would the truth prove too much to bear? As Tom answered, he felt an underlying tension. This was only the beginning. Tom placed the phone against his ear, his heart still racing from the conversation with Jared. The innocent laughter of his child washed over him, grounding him amidst the waves of doubt and pain that lapped at his resolve. He wanted to pull himself away from the turmoil, to embrace the joy his child brought into their lives, but the weight of the call lingered like a shadow. "Daddy!" His youngest chirped from the other end, voice bubbling with excitement. "Guess what? I just learned how to ride my bike without training wheels." A smile broke through Tom's turmoil, the bright image of their little one speeding through the summer sunlight filling him with warmth. "That's amazing. You've been working so hard at that," he said, the words flowing out more effortlessly than he anticipated. "Can you come watch me?" "Mommy can't today," the child said, a hint of disappointment in his voice. Tom's heart sank. He could feel Sara standing beside him, still tense after Jared's revelations. "I'll be right there," he promised, his throat tight. He needed to be with his child, escape the storm brewing in his heart, but that seemed like a fleeting fantasy when his wife was just steps away, haunted by secrets. As he hung up, he turned to her, searching her eyes for answers. "We should go, watch him," he suggested, trying to keep the conversation light. Sara nodded but looked conflicted. "Tom, about what Jared said, let us talk about that later," he said quickly, needing a break from the heaviness. "For now, let us just focus on our kid. He needs us." They left the house and drove to the park, the car filled with a tense silence. Tom could almost hear the unspoken words swirling around them, waiting to be addressed. He wanted to hold her hand, to bridge the distance growing between them, but he hesitated, not sure where they stood. When they arrived, he spotted their child, bright yellow helmet askew, pedaling in circles around the grassy field. Just seeing that joy made Tom's heart swell. He needed to feel that happiness again, to believe things would be alright. As they watched their child, Tom caught a glimpse of uncertainty in Sarah's face. "Are you okay?" he finally asked, his voice softening. "I'm just scared of what's coming," she confessed. "Of what Jared might say and what it means for us." Tom took a deep breath, feeling reminded of the resilience they'd shared through life's challenges. "Whatever he says, we'll face it together," he reassured her. "Nothing can break us if we stand united." Sara met his gaze, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. "But what if?" she began, but he raised a hand. "No what if. Just us. We'll take it one step at a time." She nodded slowly, a flicker of hope igniting in her eyes. In that moment, watching their child glide on a bike, something shifted between them. The laughter, the innocence, it was a breath of life they both desperately needed. Time sped by, laughter echoing around them as their youngest showed off his new skills. Each cheer became a reminder that love was still alive, still fighting, even if the road ahead looked daunting. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, the atmosphere felt lighter. Tom felt a shift, a renewed determination coursed within him. They could navigate this together, he knew it, but just as their child triumphantly rode back to them, a text buzzed on Tom's phone. He picked it up and his stomach dropped. It was from Jared again. The message came through terse and urgent: "We need to talk. You both need to know about the truth Sara was hiding." A chill ran down Tom's spine. In an instant, the comfort of the park began to fade. He looked to Sara, whose face reflected a mix of apprehension and fear. Would this push them back into darkness, or was it the chance they needed to finally set light to the shadows of their past? As they turned toward each other, the gravity of the moment deepened. This wasn't just another day. This was a turning point. What lay ahead would define them. They had to choose their path. And with Jared's call looming overhead, they both knew the real struggle was just beginning. Tom felt the weight of the world as he stared at the glowing screen of his phone. The brightness illuminated his face, highlighting the worry that had taken root in his features. His heart raced as he considered the implications of Jared's message. Sara stood beside him, seemingly lost in her own thoughts. The cheerful laughter of their child faded into the background, overshadowed by the heavy burden of uncertainty. "Tom, are you all right?" Sara asked, her voice breaking through the fog. She stepped closer, concern etching deeper lines on her forehead. He ran a hand through his hair, struggling to remain focused. I don't know what Jared wants. I mean, we've been through so much already." A pang of frustration shot through him. It felt unfair that they should have to face these challenges, particularly now when they were striving to reconnect. "Maybe we should just confront him," she suggested, her voice steady. "I can't keep living in fear of the unknown. I need to know." Tom's heart sank again. He could see her trying to muster courage, but he was just as afraid of what the truth might unravel. What if it changes everything? What if it's worse than we can handle? Sarah's gaze hardened. "But don't you see? Ignoring it won't change anything. It'll just eat away at us." A wave of emotion washed over her, the fight colliding with fear. "You and I both know we have to face whatever this is. We owe it to ourselves." Taking a deep breath, Tom nodded slowly. Her determination sparked something in him, like a flicker of hope igniting in the dark. "All right. We can talk to Jared together," he said, trying to keep his voice calm. They shared a resolute look, a silent promise to one another that they wouldn't let fear dictate their response. As they turned back to the park, their child zoomed by, a blur of happiness. For a moment, each of them forgot the weight bearing down on their hearts. The sight of their boy pedaling furiously, arms spread wide as if embracing the world, made them smile. In that moment, they found hope in the simplest of things. "Let us watch him finish his lap," Tom suggested, trying to savor this fleeting moment. They stood side by side, watching the little one loop around, the sunset casting long shadows across the field. Just then, laughter erupted from a nearby group of children, reminding Tom of the innocence they once took for granted. He glanced sideways at Sara, her eyes now sparkling with warmth as she cheered for their child. "Look at him go!" she exclaimed, her voice light with joy. Tom felt a rush of love, a reminder of why they fought so hard. Life would throw obstacles their way, but seeing their son flourish reinforced his resolve. He leaned closer to Sara, consciously weaving his fingers through hers. They lingered like that, holding on tight while the laughter of youth mingled with their growing fear of the truth. There was still time to breathe, time to embrace the temporary comfort they found, but the moment was short-lived. As their child began to circle back toward them, Tom's phone buzzed again. This time, it wasn't Jared. It was a different number, unfamiliar yet demanding his attention. "Who is it?" Sara asked, her voice low with curiosity. Tom glanced down, the smile disappearing as he read the text, "You have to know the truth, before it finds you." An icy chill crept up his spine again. The feeling that things were about to change, yet again, loomed over them. "Tom." Sara's voice pulled him back, her warmth fighting against the encroaching dread. He couldn't look away from the screen, a sense of urgency now pulsing through him. What more was waiting in the shadows, just beyond their reach? And was this truth something they could handle? As their child approached, beaming with pride, Tom realized they would soon face a crossroads that might alter everything they had fought to rebuild. What would the truth bring? Would they emerge stronger, or would it tear them apart? The questions echoed in his mind as they braced for what lay ahead. The sound of their child's laughter broke through the intensity of the moment. It was like a beacon of light in the growing darkness that surrounded Tom and Sara. As their boy rode closer, pedaling with all his might, Tom couldn't shake the tightness coiling in his stomach. What did that message mean? What truth lay hidden beneath the surface? "Hey, look what I can do!" their son shouted, lifting his arms off the handlebars, proudly balancing for a heartbeat before bursting into giggles. Tom's heart swelled with a mix of admiration and dread. This pure joy belonged to a child untouched by adult worries, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing just out of sight. "Come on, keep your hands on the bike." Sara smiled, but Tom noticed how her laughter didn't reach her eyes. They were both tethered to the unseen weight, an anchor holding them down. Tom took a steadying breath, forcing himself to focus on the present, on the small joys right in front of him. The park was alive with sounds: the chatter of other parents, the rustle of leaves stirred by a gentle breeze, the distant bark of a dog at play. For a moment, it felt like everything would be okay, like the message hadn't just arrived to shatter their carefully constructed illusion of safety, but it had, and the gnawing feeling wouldn't go away. "Sara," he started, his voice quiet but firm. "What if we just take a moment? A moment to breathe before confronting anything?" She turned to him, her expression softening. "For just a moment. A part of me wants that too. But we can't keep delaying this. I feel like we're standing on a cliff, and any minute now something will push us off." Tom finished for her, a flicker of humor touching his lips. But truthfully, his nervousness loomed larger than any ripple of laughter could quell. "Something like that." Sara looked away, her thoughts a tangled web. "I just don't want to live in fear anymore. We've fought too hard to let secrets win." He squeezed her hand tighter. "I know. Just remember, no matter what happens, we face it together, right?" "Together," she echoed, though Tom could still sense the doubt lingering in her voice. As they shifted their attention back to their son, a shadow darted across the park, the fading sunlight highlighting the unease written on Tom's face. The carefree environment felt oddly juxtaposed with the tension that now filled the air. Their child started pedaling again, unaware of the weighty conversations expected to unfold soon. Tom's phone buzzed once more, and dread coursed through him again. It was Jared's name glaring on the screen now. Anxiety quickened his heartbeat. "Sara, it's Jared." Sara turned sharply. "Do you want to answer?" He hesitated, the conflict building inside him. The urge to pick it up battled against the fear of what it might mean. Instead, he pressed the side button, silencing the device. "Let's just focus on him for a minute," he said, gesturing towards their son. Together they applauded as he completed another lap, happiness radiating from the little boy's face, and for a fleeting moment, the worries faded. As the sun began to sink, casting orange and pink hues across the sky, Tom felt a mixture of peace and apprehension. They were on the brink of something. He could feel it in the pit of his stomach. Then, just as they were settling into the moment, a commotion erupted from the nearby playground. A group of children rushed past them, laughter intertwining with startled shouts. Among them, a familiar face emerged: Jared, standing at the edge, uncertain yet resolute. Tom's heart raced once more. "What is he doing here?" Sara whispered, her fingers tightening around Tom's. Barely breathing, Tom watched Jared's approach, knowing this confrontation could peel back layers he wasn't ready to face. Would the truth leave them standing together or tear them apart? He held his breath, waiting for the moment to unfold. Tom felt a pang of confusion wash over him as Jared closed the distance. The laughter of children dulled to a murmur, replaced by the drumbeat of his heart in his ears. He wanted to shout out for Jared to just go away, to let them have this moment, but here they were, on the edge of the unknown. "Hey," Jared said, a forced smile stretching across his face. "I didn't expect to find you guys here." His eyes flickered to Sara, and Tom noticed the slight tension in her posture. Was it just him, or was there a silent call for help in their friend's expression? Tom started, unsure of how to navigate this collision. The sincerity in his voice felt jagged, misaligned with the playful atmosphere. "I just got a message," Jared continued, glancing at the still spinning world of children around them. "It's important about us." The word "us" curled around Tom's gut like a vine, tightening with each heartbeat. He didn't want to share this space with secrets. He wanted to shield Sara from anything that could unravel their fragile moment in the fading sun. "Can it wait?" Sara's voice cut through the tense air, full of unexpected steel. Tom turned to her, surprised. This was the first time she seemed to gain an upper hand since the weight of the message had arrived. "Not really," Jared replied, lowering his voice even more. "But I can tell you alone if it's no," Tom interjected, his voice sharper than intended. "Whatever it is, let us all just talk here." Jared hesitated, his expression shifting to something resembling dread, but he nodded. It was a small win for Tom, but he could feel the precipice underneath him, the emotional cliff Sara had mentioned earlier. "Fine," Jared said, clearing his throat. "I know this isn't easy to say, but I've seen something. Something that, well, I think you both deserve to know." "Just say it, Jared," Sara urged, her voice trembling. Tom could see she was fighting back the urgency that had started to bubble at the edges of her calm demeanor. Jared took a deep breath, the atmosphere thickening around them. "I think someone from our past has re-emerged. That left a sense of danger hovering over you both and your son." The world seemed to slow as Tom processed those words. Danger? The edges of his vision blurred, the colors of the sunset dulled, replaced by a shadow of doubt creeping in. "What do you mean?" he demanded, but even as he spoke, dread settled deeper in his stomach. "My instincts," Jared continued, his voice heavy. "They have a case that runs back to when we were all together in college. Someone could try to reach out. I thought you should know. I just saw things that linked back." The weight of the unknown crashed into Tom. The laughter of the children, the glow of the setting sun, it was all drifting out of reach, leaving a hollow echo. "You saw what?" "Who?" He felt his pulse race. Fear clawed at him as he looked over at Sara. She was pale, each breath hitting the air like a stone. "I'll dig deeper," Jared said, as if sensing the panic rising. But you both need to stay alert. Don't use trust lightly. Trust? Sara almost scoffed, but her voice trembled. Jared's gaze tipped toward their son, who had now abandoned the bike, rushing toward them, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing around his family. Be careful. It may not end well. Before Tom could say anything in response, their son reached them, a whirlwind of joy, once again balancing for a moment before crashing into their legs, laughter spilling out like sunlight. Tom felt the contrast between his son's innocent joy and the weight of Jared's revelation crash down on him like icy rain. Breathe, he thought, but as he looked at Sara, he knew they were standing before something they couldn't understand. Their world was on the verge of being reshaped, and he could feel it in his bones. What if confronting these memories brought more than just old fears to light? What if they could genuinely transform this moment? Whatever it is, we will face it together, he whispered, though uncertainty clattered in his chest. But as they exchanged glances, Tom felt a tugging realization this was just the beginning. What else might they uncover from their past that could impact their future? Tom's heart raced as he knelt down to his son, wrapping an arm around him to anchor himself in the chaos. The boy looked up, eyes wide and innocent, oblivious to the tension that wrapped around his parents like barbed wire. "What's wrong, Dad?" he asked, his voice light, the very tone a childish laugh would bring. "Nothing, buddy. Just a bit of grown-up stuff," Tom replied, forcing a smile, though it felt like a mask slipping downward with each passing second. Sara held her son tighter, her gaze still locked on Jared. "Don't you think we deserve to know who it is? Who's after us?" Her question was like a crack in the dam, threatening to unleash a torrent of emotions that had been boiling just beneath the surface. Jared shifted, his nervousness seeping through the edges of his calm. "I don't know specifics yet. But if I think of anyone, it's Emma. She fell off the radar after college, and believe me, she had reasons. Dangerous reasons." As he said the name, Tom felt a sudden chill, a memory he thought he'd buried bubbling back to the fore. Emma had always possessed an unsettling charisma, a magnetic draw that had once ensnared not just Tom but a whole host of others. The fun times, the wild nights at college, things that began to feel like a dangerous game now. "This is insane, Jared," Tom muttered, shaking his head. "We're not kids anymore. She doesn't have any power over us. But you don't know what she's capable of," Jared insisted, his voice edged with urgency that rang too true in Tom's ears. The golden light of the sunset that had painted the day felt dark and foreboding now. Sara's eyes darted back to their son, who was still busy collecting pebbles, smiling up at them without a care. The shadow of Jared's words loomed larger, like an unsuspected storm forming in the distance. "Tom, we need to make a plan," Sara said, her voice firm. "That steal from earlier was back. If there's any risk to our family, we can't just sit here." Tom nodded. "You're right. But what can we do? We can't just go running around scared. Stay alert. Watch our backs. Keep this away from him for now," Jared suggested, glancing at their son who danced around them. The laughter sounded more distant now. "What if we tell someone?" Sara proposed hesitantly. "Maybe the local police but she trailed off, her resolve fading. "No," Tom interrupted, fear tightening around his throat. "We deal with this ourselves. I want to let them put our son in danger. No one else needs to know." "Tom." Sara let out a heavy sigh but gave a reluctant nod. Their son called out, dragging them back to the present. "Look at this one. It's the biggest rock ever." He held the stone triumphantly, joy radiating from him without a single worry in the world. Tom's heart swelled momentarily, boxing all the fears within him. "All right, champ." He clapped his hands, shaking off the mounting anxiety like dust from a coat. "Let's see if we can find even bigger ones." But even as they laughed and dashed off to search for more treasures, the unsettling weight remained, gnawing at Tom's thoughts. Jared assumed a protective position beside Sara, eyes alert, his earlier playfulness replaced with a fierce dedication. Every joyful giggle from their son felt like a reminder of the fragile world they were clinging to, a world that could shatter with one wrong move. Maybe this time the past won't catch up to us, Tom murmured to himself, but felt the gnawing doubt take root deeper. As dusk fell, the uncertainty lingered like the creeping shadows. Each corner they turned felt like a gamble, each whisper a potential threat. And in the thickening dark, a larger question took shape in Tom's mind. If they were about to open Pandora's box, could they handle what might come crawling out? "What do we do next?" he asked quietly, glancing at both Sara and Jared. As if sensing the gravity of that moment, Jared replied, "We put our family first. Always." But before Tom could respond, a distant sound stopped him short, a familiar voice cutting through the noise, sending a chill down his spine, and he turned, eyes wide, recognizing who it was. "Emma," he whispered, and at that moment, everything changed. The darkness settled in, casting long shadows that seemed to stretch toward Tom like specters from his past. He took a deep breath, bracing himself against the wave of memories that washed over him. Standing before them, sending shivers down his spine, was Emma. Tom, her voice flowed like silk, wrapped in a warmth that unnerved him. "It's been a long time." Jared stepped forward, his body tense. "What are you doing here, Emma?" The boy, oblivious to the danger, continued to clutch his rock, staring curiously at this stranger. Sara shifted uneasily, her protective instincts kicking in. "I came to see you, Tom," Emma said, her smile genuine yet laced with something darker Tom couldn't quite pin down. "I heard you were back in town." "Why? What do you want?" Tom asked, his voice a mix of anger and disbelief, each word crackling in the air like static electricity. "I want to talk, just talk. You always were better at listening." She glanced over to Sara, then back to Tom, her expression momentarily faltering. "I didn't come here to cause trouble." Tom clenched his fists, the boy's laughter fading behind him, replaced by the low, throbbing pulse of anxiety in his chest. "You think I believe that? I haven't been myself for a while now," she continued, her gaze softening. "Life has changed me, Tom. I'm not that girl anymore. Not that girl. You put us through hell, Emma. You left without a word, and now you think you can just waltz back into our lives. If you knew what I've been through." Her voice trembled just slightly, revealing a side of vulnerability that was hard to ignore. Tom glanced at Sara, searching her eyes for guidance, but he found only worry etched across her face. Jared still stood close, his presence a fortress between Tom's faltering resolve and the emotional landmine before him. "Enough," Jared said, his tone low and determined. "You need to leave, Emma. You have no idea what you're stepping back into." "But he deserves to know the truth," Emma replied, her voice rising. "He deserves to hear how everything fell apart after I left. Or maybe he deserves to keep his life uncomplicated, free of whatever chaos you bring." Sara shot back, finally breaking her silence. Emma's eyes darted between them, taking in the small family unit forged against her chaotic past. "You don't have to protect him. He deserves to know about the darkness that followed me. I'm not proud, but it's my past just as much as it is his." "What are you talking about?" Tom's heart raced. "Talk then. What is this darkness?" "Those people, they're still looking for me. And whatever they think I owe them, they'll come for you too if they find me." Tom felt a sharp jolt, panic sparking within him. His son was still here, blissfully unaware at the edge of the lake, tossing pebbles that skipped lightly across the water. "Mom!" the boy called, curiosity mixing with confusion as he looked up at Sara. "Stay there, honey. Just keep playing," she called out sharply, turning back to Emma, eyes fierce. "You're putting my family in danger. This isn't your fight." Emma stepped closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. "It's not too late for you to walk away from this. But if you don't listen, you will be dragged into it. Even your son will be." Tom's breath hitched in his throat. The word son resonated like a death bell. What do you mean? Who's coming after you? He demanded, the weight of dread pressing on his chest. Emma hesitated, her expression shifting to something almost resigned. I didn't just lose my way, Tom. I've seen things, I did things that haunt me. They're after me because of what I've done. The sun slipped below the horizon, and the air thickened with the palpable weight of the moment. The sound of the water lapping against the shore filled the silence, a grim reminder of the world outside this haunting confrontation. Tom, please, Emma urged, tears brimming in her eyes. Don't let them hurt your family because of me. I can protect you, but you have to trust me. Trust. The word hung heavy in the air, a fragile thread dangling between the safety of his family and the threatening shadows of his past. As he stood there, grappling with the impossible choice before him, he couldn't shake the feeling that Emma had brought more than just her troubles back into their lives. Why now? He whispered, feeling the walls of his carefully constructed life begin to tremble. In that moment, Tom understood that the past might not only have caught up with him, it was threatening to consume everything he held dear. And with that heavy realization, he wondered, could he truly protect his family when the source of their danger was standing right in front of him? Tom's heart raced, each beat echoing in the stillness as he processed Emma's words. The fading light painted her face in shadow, making it harder to see the truth behind her eyes. Was she really changed, or merely cloaked in the age-old deceit that once defined their relationship? Tom, Emma whispered again, her voice trembling. I know you're angry, and you have every right to be. But please, listen to me, listen. His voice cracked. You left me. You shattered everything, Emma. How can I just ignore that? Jared shifted his weight, stepping closer to Tom, ready to protect. We need to go, Tom. Now. No. Tom shot back, his frustration boiling over. If what she says is true, if she is really in danger. She is the danger, Tom. Jared interrupted, his voice urgent. You can't let her drag you back into her mess. Emma's eyes glistened, shimmering with unshed tears. You don't know what I've faced. I've lived in fear. They won't stop until they find me, and that means you and your family too. The mention of his family pierced through the chaos in Tom's mind. He glanced over his shoulder at Jared, who was watching him with a mixture of concern and determination. And then there was Sara, her face pale, distress etched deep into her features as she tried to shield their son from the rising storm. What do you want from me? Tom asked, the energy draining out of him. Do you want forgiveness? Because that's not coming easily. I need you to believe me, Emma replied, her voice barely above a whisper. I need you to trust me when I say I'll do whatever it takes to keep you safe. I can help if you let me. Trust is hard to come by after you burned everything to ashes, he shot back, bitterness coloring his words. But something in her tone, the sincerity, made him pause. Was she really the same girl he once knew? The one with dreams and laughter? Mom! Their son called again, his bright voice breaking the tension, creating a painful reminder of the innocence at stake. Stay there. Sarah's admonition was sharper now, her instinct to protect taking over as she glanced nervously between Emma and Tom. Tom, please, Emma's voice pressed, filling the air with hope and fear alike. I can't run forever. If they find me, they will come for you. You can't hide from this. A silence hung heavy like a fog, thick and suffocating. Tom felt the weight of what Emma was saying wrap around him, an invisible shackle. The past was no longer just a seeping wound, it was a darkness that could engulf him completely if he wasn't careful. Tell me who's after you. Tell me why, he insisted, his own voice growing steadier, his resolve hardening. Because if I'm going to protect my family, I need to know exactly what we're facing. Her eyes widened, and for a moment, clarity shone through. There's a group, Tom. A dangerous one. They think I owe them for the things I did after I left. And they're relentless. Tom's thoughts raced, he felt a tempest of emotions rising inside him. The urge to protect his family clashed with the nostalgia stirred by Emma's presence. A small part of him recalled the warmth in their earlier days, a time when love seemed powerful enough to conquer anything. But those memories did little to ease his heart. "You may want to help me," Emma pressed gently. "But if you choose to ignore this, you'll be putting your family at risk." They won't hesitate. "You have to choose, Tom. Do you stand with me and fight, or do you close your eyes to the danger?" Tom's mind spiraled. He could still hear their son's laughter, bright and carefree, floating on the evening breeze. In that moment, everything seemed to hinge on his answer, the path before him dark and uncertain. "Tom." Emma breathed, her expression shifting as she sensed his hesitance. Desperate to shield his family, he peered back at them, the silhouettes of Sara and their son against the slowly darkening sky. Protecting them meant making decisions he could hardly stomach. The weight of his decision hung in the air, thick and suffocating, pulling at the fibers of who he had become. Could he really align himself with the very person who had led him down a path of heartache? And just as the shadows of doubt flickered in his mind, he knew he had to choose. But what if that choice led him deeper into a darkness he wasn't prepared to face? As Emma stepped closer, her hand reaching out toward him, Tom felt the world around him pulse with tension. He was standing on the edge, both terrified and exhilarated. "Make your choice," she whispered, her voice trembling with emotion, but how could he choose when the stakes felt so impossibly high? The cool night air clung to Tom's skin as he faced Emma, his heart pounding like a drum in the stillness. Each pulse echoed the turmoil within him. In that moment, he grasped the fragility of everything he held dear. He glanced at Sara, her face illuminated by the faint glow of the park lights, a fortress of strength and apprehension, and their son, blissfully tossing rocks at the water's edge, laughter ringing like chimes in the dark. "Tom." Sara's voice cut through the tension. "You need to make a choice. We can't let her drag us into her nightmare," she urged, urgency lacing her tone. Tom felt the contradiction in his chest. Emma stood before him, much like the girl he once loved, but now she was tangled in shadows from a past he barely wanted to remember. "What do you think I should do, Sara?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper, trembling between fear and loyalty. With determination setting in her jaw, Sara replied, "You protect our family, that's what you do. You've come so far from that hurt. This is about us now, about what we've fought to rebuild." Tom clenched his fists, feeling the weight of her words settle over him, like a soothing blanket. Each recollection of their journey, through heartache and healing, pushed him closer to clarity. Yet, Emma remained there, an echo of his history, shadows of anger, love, and betrayal churned in the depths of his heart. "Tom," Emma said, her voice trembling with desperation, "I never wanted to hurt you. You have to believe me. Please, I can shield you, but it needs all of us. Why should I trust you? You left us without a word. You shattered my life, Emma." His voice rose, raw with emotions, each accusation landing like a hard blow. Emma's eyes became glassy, and he could see the hurt, but he could also see the fear. "I had no choice. They were coming after me. I had to run. I thought it was the only way to protect you." "Protect me?" Tom let out a bitter laugh, a mixture of disbelief and anger. "You think leaving was protecting me?" Sara took a step closer, her presence steady. "This isn't the time for diving back into the past, Tom. We need to think of our son." Torn between love for Sara and memories of Emma, he felt like he was being pulled apart. Emma's voice softened, almost pleading. "I'm changed, Tom. Those memories haunt me every day. I saw families fall apart. I was one of them. I never wanted that for you." Each word was a soft stroke against his hardened heart. He wanted to believe her, he truly did. But trust was a fragile thread, frayed and taut. "You put everything at risk when you walked away," Tom said, voice hoarse. "Because I was scared. Emma shouted back, her voice echoing against the night, raw and vulnerable. And now, if I can't face my past, my mistakes at LL come for you. Please, let me help you. The wind blew, rustling the leaves as silence settled heavily. Tom's eyes darted between the two women in his life. The weight of responsibility crashed against the fragile resolve he fought so hard to build. Maybe you think you want this, Sara said, her tone shifting, revealing a layer of empathy. But you're thinking about your own past rather than our future. We've fought so hard, Tom. Can you really risk everything on what's behind you when our son's safety is at stake? As if echoing her words, their son called out, Daddy. Mommy. Look at my big rock. It connected in Tom's heart, a bright light bursting through the cloud of chaos. The purity of their child was the reality he longed to protect, holding on to that simple truth felt grounding. He couldn't let them down again. You're right, Sara. I can't let this define us, Tom replied, the fierceness building within him. The moment held so much weight, shaping his choice. With a deep breath, he turned to Emma, determination overwhelming his fear. You need to leave. I can't let you endanger my family anymore. Her eyes widened, and he saw the desperation slip into despair. Tom, I want to let you pull us into your darkness, he said firmly. We've worked too hard to find our light. As Emma stepped back, her shoulders slumped in. Resignation, Tom felt a surge of guilt flow through him, a deep empathy coupled with relief. If you truly want to protect me, stay away. Don't bring your chaos back to our lives. She nodded, the fight leaving her. I understand. Just know that the shadows aren't gone. They're real, and they'll always be a part of me. Then stay free of us, he whispered, the ache in his heart undeniable. Tom turned away, embracing Sara tightly, and their son wedged between them, oblivious to the storm that had just passed. The weight on Tom's shoulders lifted, yet the undercurrent of doubt remained. I'm sorry, Emma said one last time before vanishing into the darkness. The weight of the past still lingered like shadows at dusk, but Tom held on to the warmth beside him now. We'll face whatever comes, together, he promised, his heart finally feeling steady. As they walked away, hand in hand, Tom looked up at the stars beginning to twinkle in the night sky, a distant reminder that even the darkest nights could harbor glimmers of hope. And at that moment, Tom made a promise to himself. No matter what lay ahead, he would fight for the family he loved. That was his true path. That it was a new beginning, and he felt it pulse in his veins. Now, a challenge remained before him, to truly let go of the past and cultivate the future they fought so hard to build. In that endeavor, he found a purpose, one that would guide him through the twists and turns of life, igniting a fire within. Tom pulled his family closer, a resolve building in his heart. This was his life to protect, and every moment like this counted. And as they stepped forward into the promise of the night, he felt a wave of excitement swell within. It was a call to be courageous and make the future brighter together. Nothing would stop them now. That if you love stories about transformation and resilience, you need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and let me know your reactions in the comments.